Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. Like a lower decker being promoted for the night, I'm your captain.
Hold on,
and host,
MC, you gotta
MC.
stop.
No.
Something's happening.
What happened?
You're all delayed
no.
again
I'm delayed again.
and very choppy. It sounds like an
Controversed with
internet issue.
Oh.
Guys, I know we just started. We're gonna take a quick break. Bear with us. We're gonna be right back.
this is why we never let lower deckers take command of the ship for an episode.
Are you
Welcome
kidding me?
Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your commander and host, MC, alongside the best bridge crew this side of Ransom without a shirt on arm day. So we have what is your exact rank there, Julian?
Me? Oh God. Fleet Admiral Section 31 Extraordinaire Evil Overlord of all. I don't know these days.
Yeah, I just want to tell you guys that I didn't know I was going to be fully hosting until right before the show, and it just says insert crew jokes as you see fit. And having dealt with all of that electronic stuff, I have no jokes in my head right now. So Julian really ships Mariner and Ransom.
Oh yeah, it's true.
And that will come very clear with the outline. And we also have Huck here today.
Newly promoted captain now.
Newly promoted,
I think
captain.
Yeah.
Yes, it was time.
Yeah, I can't remember anybody's ranks. But let's get into it. This week, we're exploring the complex relationship between Ransom and Mariner. This is because a few weeks ago, when we were first supposed to do this episode, it was going to be right smack dab in the middle of Jerry O'Connell's birthday and Tawny Newsom's birthday, which would have been very nice and poetic. But do you know what? We love talking about Ransom and Mariner anyways, because these are such an interesting pair together. Are they together? Have they been together? What exactly is going on between these two? So we're going to explore that. But first, Hawk, we need to thank our amazing patron collective members at the Ready Room level and above.
I will. So thank you to Simon Stager, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Tallulah, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santos, Kang Wee, Takako Nagumo, Fernando Nogales, SMK, Laura Linderman, Colin Davidson, Jesco, Michael Graham, Emily and Travis, Gildara, Cassie, Spot, Maggie Light, Tyrannokilicus, Wayne Ritz, Skonavark, Sean, Jay Howard, Anna Yurtadon, Mahalani Uchiyama, Matt Harker, Davey Willett, Tara Pollen, Slope 74, Rude Parakeet, Joshua Miller, Adam Sanders, Eris Spengen, Lanky Guy, Aaron Volke, Carl Angoli, Michael Kwan, TJ, Mayer, Caitlin, Elizabeth Dean, Jim McMahon, ADHDEC, Sedano 317, Puka Hair, 3 Fries Short. I've got Puka Hair twice on here for some reason.
Yeah, that's my bad. Don't worry about it.
Kate Tip, Tripping the Reed Alert Over a Pineapple, Sean Manning, Congressional Baseball Fan, Chris Waterman, RHCB, Martin Simpson, Seven Rasmussen, Anna F., Norman Buckwald, David Prime Hildebrand, and our newest collective member, Taryn J. Robinson. Thank you. You keep the lights on.
And Julian, if you could thank our Batmirals for us, because you probably remember them off the top of your head.
I do, and I was going to do this at some point. I don't know when. Thank you to our amazing Badmirals, our executive producers, who help, and all of our patron members help pay for things like our web hosting fee that just went through, which is very expensive. And you guys keep the lights on. So those extra credits go to Simon Stager, Commander Chris Waterman, the Chief Ernesto Castagna, and of course Tara Pollen. Y'all freaking rock. Yay.
We love you guys. So we do have some news to get into on the subject of Patreon. We've got some exclusive bonus pod content coming out on the 20th, and I'm extremely excited for this. We are going to be covering the Trek X-Men crossover comics. I was so tempted to do that. Yes, in honor of the X-Men animated series coming back, we're going to be doing the Star Trek X-Men comics that's going to be exclusive on Patreon. So if you want to listen to that, see that, join our Patreon so that you can get that on the 20th.
Yep. And to get access, you just have to join at the $2 level. That's it. $2.
Yep.
$2 a month helps us a lot. We don't plug the Patreon often.
Price of a cup of
But
coffee.
we're also, we've been talking about potential other comics that we can, and I'm delaying again, but you know what? We're going to roll with it.
I think just roll with it, MC. Keep going.
yeah.
So, guys, we can hear MC well. We can't see her. She's going to keep going. We're good.
Yeah. So we should be having programming details soon for the last days of Disco Podcast Festival. We're still working out everything on that. But keep looking on... we'll make an announcement once we got everything all hashed out. So, Julian.
Hi.
Heroes and villains.
Those guys. You see this shirt with
Those guys.
Spock and the harp? Yeah, this comes from Heroes and
Yes.
Villains. This is a very thick shirt, too, for a tee. It's like really cozy and comfy. Heroes and Villains, they make great stuff if you are in the United States. Unfortunately, they're working on possibly licensing in Canada. You can get 20% off your first order from heroesandvillains.com using our code STRANGE. I just showed off. I wish I brought it in here with me. Their amazing Starfleet travel bag. It's a backpack and converts into an actual travel bag. The thing is dope.
There's some nice pictures of it on your social medias.
Thank you. That was a fun photo shoot. So yeah, check them out. First order, 20% off. And I don't think it stacks, but even if that doesn't work for you, Heroes and Villains is awesome. They have sales all the time. So check them out.
We have happy hour this Sunday, another Patreon benefit. So happy hour for all of the patrons at what level?
$5. Cerritos Lounge and above.
Yes. And the time for the happy hour.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Okay.
It is going to happen Sunday, and I'll add a quick note. Things have gone out, and I'll let you pick up the rest of that. But when certain things go out and it's a couple of days before certain things lift, I will give very, very, very non-spoilery thoughts sometimes in a happy hour, if you know what I'm talking about. So this is going to be a rare good one. So yeah, make sure you're there. Sunday.
Okay, and we have a giveaway.
We do.
Julian, do you want to give the details on that?
I do. So, I have a really cool book in front of me. This one, David Mack's Firewall. We interviewed him last week. Really, it was like a month and a half ago, but you know, y'all heard it last week. It was really good. I think, Hawk, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I thought it was a great interview. The book is amazing. If you haven't picked it up yet, it is available now at your favorite bookseller. And we are giving this copy that was just in my hands and still in my hands away. And Dave Hildebrand, don't go anywhere because you won, my friend. You are there. You are the winner. We asked, Hawk, what was the question? It was about the name of the warlord, right?
Yes, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since
Yeah,
I saw
so we asked, I think it was who was in command of the Romulan bird of prey that was attacking Rios and everybody. And Dave answered with the correct answer, which was Kar Kantar. That was who was in charge of the Romulan bird of prey. Congratulations, you are a winner. We, I think, have your address already from sending you welcome stickers for joining our Patreon. So yes, you also won. Congratulations. We will ship that out to you very soon in enough time to also make the watch along, please. You're talking about the happy hour. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Everything's cool. Everything's cozy. It's a Sunday. I'll put up a poll in the chat. Just remind me. You got to remind me of these things. I have a lot going on. It's MC's show. Where are we?
Okay, WonderCon. Giraffe is going to be there. It's March 29th to 31st. So if you are going to WonderCon, go seek her out. I'm sure she's going to be wearing some fabulous cosplay because this is Giraffe we're talking about.
Mhm.
And yeah, no, go find her. because we're not able to see her in person, and so you guys should.
Yep.
And Discovery, season 5, early reviews. Screeners have gone out. And the festival that is going to be showing the first episode, I believe.
At this point, I think it's the first 2 they're showing. I think I could be wrong.
Okay,
I could be wrong about that.
I'm not sure. But that's going to be on the 11th.
Yep. So the yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I believe on the same day we're going to be putting up our spoiler-free review.
Yep, ours and probably every other outlets out there, but of course,
Yes,
read ours.
Read ours, yes. And obviously, we will be very good about not having any spoilers in ours. But once that day comes, be wary on the internet because not everybody is as careful about it as we are.
Yep. Yeah. No, you go ahead, MC. I cut you off. Sorry.
But no, Julian's going to be writing that. He's got a bunch of disco episodes that he's got to watch. And the rest of us, I think at least a few of us are trying to not watch them all so that we don't have like this huge drought of not being able to watch disco. These are like the first of first world problems.
It is.
That was my plan of action when Lower Deck season 4 dropped, and that I was pretty much just week for week for it. So.
You were, but you wouldn't have been if you had made it to Fan Expo. One day.
Yeah.
One day.
Soon.
Okay, and if that's all, does anybody else have any news?
No.
Well, then let's move on to the strange new loop. So we talk a lot about how not every character has to be in a romantic relationship, but if you could match any 2 Lower Deck characters together and do an episode about their romance, who would it be?
I'll throw one out there I was very curious about. It's not basically, they're already kind of matched on the show, but I kind of want to see like more of the backstory about Alonso and Carol.
Ah, yeah.
Because it's like we know that they're Mariner's parents, but we never really get to see a lot of interaction between them on the subject, do we?
No.
Or them in the same room together.
Yeah.
The only time they're in the same room together is when they're yelling at Mariner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there must have been something there, and I would love it would be an awesome flashback episode if they could do that, right?
Yeah.
Or even just an episode where they have dinner together or something. Julia, do you have one?
I do. I feel like since the beginning, I don't know why I almost said beginning years, but I feel like since Lower Deck started, we've always had like Barnes and Rutherford, right? And that like didn't end up working out. And I don't know. I think there's something about possibly setting up the bees. What if we had a Barnes Boimler romance? So just throwing it out there. We can call them like Burner or Barner or something, I want, it would just be fun. I don't know. Like she finally finds love. They seem perfect for each other. Because she's a nerd too. And Boimler's
their names
a nerd.
both start with B.
And they both start with B. So it would be the BBs.
It's alliterative.
Is there anything in chat?
Anything in chat? Let's see. So Matt Harker would like to see one that's already established with Shax and Ta'ana having their own episode. I think would be awesome.
Yes.
Do you want to see
be dirty?
that?
I mean,
very dirty.
Just go through their holodeck records.
No.
Or don't. Colin, Rutherford and Tendi, they're my ship. One day. Rutherford and Livik, a love-hate story from Matt Harker.
Oh,
like
enemies
that.
to lovers. We like to see it.
Yeah. Mars writes maybe Miglimo and somebody.
but who?
But who?
So for me,
But who?
But who? I mean, like, maybe like an episode where he ends up being like the third wheel in Shax and Tavana's like romance.
Oh my god!
I don't know.
Third.
I
wheel,
feel
it.
like Ta'ana could not deal with Migley Moo. I think she'd try to kill him, which might be their thing.
Could be.
It does seem to fuel a lot of her holodeck programs.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so I do have one, and I think I've actually mentioned it before, but I would really like Boimler and T'Lyn to hook up. T'Lyn is obviously as close to Mariner as Boimler could ever get with, and is a version of Mariner that I think would work with Boimler. Because Boimler Mariner, obviously not a
No.
romantic relationship, like not at all.
No.
But they do work well off each other, and there's a lot of parallels between T'Lyn and Mariner, but she's still Vulcan. So I think that kind of tempering would work really well with Boimler. And we've seen them in the latest season that they do seem to have some pretty good chemistry.
Yeah, they do. They do.
But no, definitely not Boimler and Mariner in that. As far as like
Oh,
Mariner's
no.
concerned,
No.
Boimler is her little brother, basically.
They're ride or dies. Like they're
He's a
ride or
pet.
die besties, right? Like they would kill each. Yeah.
I think she said that exactly. He's like a pet.
Yeah.
But now let's get to a couple that does have some chemistry with each other. Ransom Mariner. Will they? Won't they? Have they? So we're going to go all of the way back to the first episode where we really saw them together. And that's episode 103, which is Temporal Edicts, if I recall.
Yes, correct.
Hey, I'm smart. This is them off on an away mission together. And there's a lot of arguing back and forth as to what heroes are supposed to do. And we get some everybody thinking the other one is hot and feeling really weird about it. And also, I mean, we talk Rutherford and Livik enemies to lovers. I mean, this is some definite fighting, but then like, oh, you're hot. The best line, so ethical.
The eyes.
So do you guys think this was just a one-time attraction in the moment with these two, or how was this just a sign of things to come? What's going on here? So we'll start with Hawk.
Or possibly thing from the past we don't know. And that I don't know, because like honestly, I'm looking at I try to go look at it through that lens of relationship, and that it's just I don't see it. I see the attraction there and that, but given that episode and that, and the fact that they were in prison, and when you're in prison, the rules, they kind of tend to change. But I'm thinking one-time attraction for the moment, and that not an indication of like a past fling, because examining it a little later on, he really doesn't know that much about her, does he?
I don't. Well, and that's kind of where I'm at with them. It's like I think they actually do know each other, because especially now that we know Mariner's age and like where she was in the academy, and even like from season 2, like with other people telling her like you should have been a commander or possibly or like a captain already, and Ransom's a commander. I wonder if they were in the academy together, and I wonder if they weren't like besties, and they weren't even maybe friends, but like they went to like a Starfleet party and they each had a few Romulan ales and they had a quickie, and that's how Mariner knows a few things about him and how he likes to get on her nerves. I've come to this very strong conclusion since we finally know how old she is and everything we're going to talk about in this episode.
Oh, I'm sure they're contemporaries, because I'm not giving up my headcanon that Ransom and Wesley were roommates in the academy.
Yeah, I like that too.
It makes sense that they should be around the same age. They seem to be around the same age.
Agreed.
And even if they hadn't been at the academy together, they've been on the Cerritos together for a long time, because Mariner, it's not like Mariner was new to the Cerritos, like at the beginning of the show. And obviously neither was Ransom. And some of the stuff that has been said does kind of sound like they could have hooked up. But it could also just be the blood pumping, this, the arguing, the thin line between love and hate, or the thin line between hate, and I want to bone you because you're so ethical.
So ethical.
Even if it's not anything that they're going to act on. Because I actually think that a lot of the stuff that comes up between Ransom and Mariner, even though there's the sexual tension in it, there's also a lot of interesting levels with them as a subordinate and commander, even as friends. And in one episode, I'm going to talk about them a little bit as siblings, which might sound a little weird, but we'll have to get into it. So, like, these two like cover kind of all the bases.
Yeah. No, they do.
Uh,
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just wondering, does anybody else have anything on temporal edicts?
Yeah. I think that going back to what I was saying about like them possibly just having like a fling, right, in Starfleet, and there's then kind of like this weirdness between them. I think this is one of the reasons that in Temporal Edict, the hot thing comes up. Like when she first says it, she's like, "Oh, hey, there's a reason I maybe banged that dude in my roommate's shower, like at that one Starfleet party, you know?" And that's why she's like, "Oh, so ethical too." After, and then she's like kind of beating herself up over it. And then the other end, like Mariner. I mean, not Mariner. Ransom is very like, you know, we know Ransom is like, yeah, bro, like with what's his name?
Phillips.
No, not
and
Billups.
Oh, the other guy. The other guy.
Is it
Stevens.
Stevens, right? And like we
Stevens.
know that he's like a bro chacho. So, you know, when he sees Mariner do like the blood, he's like, "I'm gonna dance in your blood," and he's like, "Whoa, that was kind of hot." It's like he remembers too, but also, yeah, I don't know. I think there's something there.
The only thing that I have about Ransom hooking up with Mariner is that Ransom thinks he's Will Riker, but he's 100% not Will Riker. And I think his numbers are just in the basement in terms of his hookups.
I could
Yeah.
totally see that, you know, like as like handsome, everything. It's the personality in that. It's like as soon as anyone talks to him in that, it's like the attraction level goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah. MC Colin's asking how old she is. She's and if she's close to Tawny's age. No, we put her somewhere around like 30 something, right?
Yeah.
I think if you go back and listening to that episode, we do actually math it out.
Yeah.
But I mean, whatever Wesley's age is, it's like -3 or something.
Okay. Oh, so Wesley's age, like what it would be now?
Well, no.
No.
It's very confusing because Lower Decks is set back further than the last time we saw Wesley.
Okay.
Because the last time we saw Wesley was in Picard, which was set many years after Lower Decks. But yeah,
as far as like Lower Decks placing in the TNG timeline on that, it's just like it's basically just a few years past, say, the end of Voyager.
Yeah,
maybe around 5-6 years after Voyager.
Yeah, we do actually have a date. Yeah, if I had Memory Alpha pulled up, but I mean, let's face it, my computer is so laggy. I'm not pulling up anything.
I think Kang has the answer.
Oh yeah, 30.
Memory Alpha.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Memory Alpha has first duty in 2368, and Lower Decks season 4 is in 2381. So that would probably make Mariner around 31.
Yeah,
I think that's about what we mathed out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Ransom at most is 35, and I would actually place him probably a bit younger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially what we've talked about in other episodes before, how like Starfleet was churning out young officers after the war again.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So we can, move on to episode 10 of season 1. This is No Small Parts. This doesn't have like a huge part of Ransom and Mariner, but it has one of my favorites. And that's after Ransom has found out that Freeman is Mariner's mom. And he just becomes the most flustered of flustered people, with all of the talk about hardness.
Being hard,
Go back.
get hard.
Yes. Go back and listen to some Trexford quiz episodes, because Davey Willett will throw out his impersonation of Ransom saying that at the drop of a hat, and it is quite wonderful. But Mariner, she is just, there's no romantic chemistry from Mariner's side in this, because she's just done with everybody's bullshit. Personally, I'm going with the, it's like you think about sex because you're not trying to think about sex, because he's like in front of his mom. Because I mean, even like Boimler did that, where it's like Mariner is hot. But what do you guys think?
I don't. I see the frustration. I see him flustering. It's the fact that he didn't even clue in that, like, Mariner was, Carol's daughter, and that makes me think, like, there was nothing in the past. If there was something in the past, it was probably a fling. That's it. No dating. But the frustration here, I could see that. Just like, this is new knowledge to him. He's supposed to be in charge of her, I think, at that point, and it's like, yeah. Then the whole thing about, Carol's like, be hard or not, I don't care, and that he's. And then as soon as hard comes up, he just gets flustered around the actual word in connection with his.
I could
his
be hard. I
captain's
mean,
daughter.
I'm not
Yeah.
hard now, but I could be.
I think it's just workplace flustered, and that I'm finding out this new information about your coworker.
Yeah, this episode might actually like play against the whole idea of them hooking up in the past, because considering how flustered he was, if they had, he would have absolutely said it.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't like. I don't look at it as like a big thing in there, but I think like the fact that he, like you said, like he does talk, like the first thing that comes out of his mouth is sexual. Well, it's okay. One, it's Ransom. Two, he likes to get hard. And three, yeah, there's fluster because he just found out. I think there's an argument for not knowing if they even were at the academy together who Mariner is, because she doesn't use her parents' last name. Like, I think she didn't want
Yes.
to know that her parents were also in Starfleet. So I think that was always a secret, whether they, started having a bad relationship or not.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I'm so distracted by the fact that I'm still lagging.
It's okay.
Very sorry. So we move on to season 2 with Strange Energies, which is, I would say, Ransom's biggest episode up to this point. Like in season 1, he did get a good part in Temporal Edict, but Strange Energies is some.
Next level.
Julian's notes for the show says maybe there's something in Mariner kicking Ransom in the balls, but this is the episode that I wanted to talk about in terms of them as siblings. This is very much a Ransom and Mariner as siblings, which I think that the commander as kind of a son to the captain is something that has come up on many Star Trek shows, other than the ones where the commander wants to fuck the captain, which also comes up quite a lot. But I definitely think, like with Ransom, he does have that kind of relationship with the mentor kind of mother figure with Freeman. And by having Mariner come in and be, the daughter and have carte blanche to do whatever she wants, I think it becomes a little bit of sibling rivalry.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Because it's weird, because we think they're around the same age, right? Possibly they met at the academy and that, but they're as far as careers go in that, there were two different trajectories, right? You know, we know like Mariner's baggage and that, but like with Ransom and that, it's like, you know, that's she like Mariner could have very easily been a commander at that point too, in that. So yeah, the rivalry, the sibling rivalry, and that is a great angle to kind of play into in that, especially with him trying to, you know, stay to task, do this stuff, and her just like, you know, like she starts cleaning walls for no reason, just because she wants to make the place look better. So yeah, I see the frustration there, and that it's like, you know, one being allowed to, you know, one sibling being allowed to get away with murder, while, you know, I want to say elder, or, you know, the older sibling, and that it's like the one where all the responsibility is placed on their shoulders.
Yeah. I just think it's so weird how many times she kicks him in the balls. Like, really, like, like that's the thing. It's like, I get, you know, kicking him once or twice in the balls to shrink him and bring him back down to, you know, normal Ransom bulkiness. But like, like 5 or 6,
She
7.
wants to make sure he can't reproduce.
Yeah, there. I think there's a little. Okay, so, I mean, my stepsister never kicked me in the balls 8 times, so I don't know if it's like a sibling thing.
I have 2 brothers. We were quite violent, so.
And I was also thinking, like, the thing with the ball kicking. We know Tavana has a lot of, you know, violence wrapped into her sexuality. Do we think Ransom has a little kind of masochistic streak wrapped into his?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, I think Ransom's a bottom sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Subby sub.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like Deanna even kind of alludes to it in No Small Parts when, because, you know, he's got all of those, you know, like emotional problems where he just wants somebody to like dominate over him, and he's like, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, I mean,
but what does he do with the churros?
I
mean, that's a whole different thing. I mean, the churros, that's the romantic relationship. That's wife.
Yes. And Mariner's the salt wife? Are we going Game of Thrones here? Oh, man.
Sugar and salt.
Yeah, hey. Oh. I got nothing else. The ball kicking just also makes me think like, yeah, there's something behind those. There's definitely something in those kicks.
Yeah, well, Mariners also just can be very violent.
Yeah.
At times. So
true.
You know,
True.
she just wants to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, Ransom does get off light considering Gary Mitchell like got dead by rock.
Mm-hmm.
The dead by rock.
Yeah, and Mariner's
well, they tried the dead by rock and it didn't work.
Yeah.
And Mariner is very efficient in that. And she realized that the only way of getting the strange energies out of him was through extreme pain. So it's like bam, 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 bam. And that.
Give me your pain. This is not a Star Trek.
Not
5
talking
episode.
about that again. Going in, that's really all we have for season 2 of Ransom and Mariner. But going into season 3, we start to get quite a bit more, because in this season we get Ransom as Mariner's mentor, a captain appointed mentor. So fun from both sides. And the first episode it's in the end of season and episode 1 that it actually happens. And if I recall correctly, the quote, Ransom says, "I'm your mama now."
Yep, I'm your mama now. Yeah.
Which we talked about just Ransom being a huge sub. I mean, switch maybe.
Oh God. Hey.
It's always the pretty ones.
Yeah.
No, it's that kind of show tonight. There's so much disaster stuff happen that I'm just not caring anymore.
We don't
Yeah,
need to
this is
care.
this is a very free and footloose episode tonight.
Yeah.
And, Eric's down. He's got a whole and the children shall lead situation going on at home. Giraffe is off doing something else. He couldn't make it in tonight. So
You get us.
Yeah.
We're awesome.
We are.
Though I think my camera has stopped
You've
lagging,
been back
so.
to normal for a little bit.
But we get into episode 2, which is the least dangerous game.
I believe so. That's where I start lagging in my episode title knowledge.
This is the
Yeah,
one with the orbital platform, right? They
yes.
Oh, yes.
Ransom,
Thank you.
Ransom
The
and
space
Mariner.
elevator.
The space elevator.
And I remember this one because they do that wonderful homage to the Kelvinverse.
Oh, this is such a
Yes.
Kelvin homage.
Yeah, but this is like the first time since Temporal Edict that we really see them working together, and it does call back to that dynamic from Temporal Edict because they're butting heads with each other, and I mean there is some. He's taking his shirt off while he's working, and
Exercising in front of her too, which is
he always exercises in front of her.
Yeah.
But I don't know. In this one, it seemed like he was kind of going out of his way, and that the whole thing where he's carrying around the one pipe and that does the one-handed lift up and inserts it in, and that it's like, was he showing off a little too much at that point? I don't know.
This one's hard because you think like, yeah, he's just being hard on her to be a dick. It's not like him trying to like assert authority and maybe do that switch like you were talking about, MC. But it's I feel like this comes a little bit more from Mariner because like Ransom's so fucking clueless here, right? Like I don't think anything's happening here like, is like, overcompensating for something that like happened between them. Because like he doesn't even realize that she's like 2 miles down skydiving. Like that's how much of an idiot he's being. More for me does come later, right? When he's, doing the ethical thing again, right? And it also involves his shirt coming off. And it's like Mariner again, and there's no words, but like we love our lower decks animators. Y'all rock. And it's just a little like quick nod over smile, like one of those hot. So it's like it's these episodes that they're together. I feel like there's always just a glance or a hint that there was something they're thinking of, maybe something down the line happening. Yeah.
Hockey, like you have something you want to say.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just replying to a comment. No, I got it.
Yeah, no, with this episode, I mean, part of it, Ransom's thing in this episode, with him being so deliberately obtuse is, I really think him just trying to exert the power over her. Like he definitely just wants to prove he's boss. Like Mariner has gotten away with all of this shit in the last couple of years, and now that he's in control, he's going to be in control. And I think, again, bringing up the whole, idea of them, in a sibling-like way, trying to, be the one. It's like, yeah, Captain, I'm the one in control here. You're like, and also like it's orders directly from her, so it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna stay on top of you, in whatever way that may be. But there is always that underlying tension between them because Ransom's lava tubes are glorious.
Yeah, they are.
And she notices that, and I think also, in a way, well, I mean, I don't know if Ransom really does conform to what Mariner's type is, because she said her type is bad boys, bad girls, bad non-binary people, bad binars. And I would not classify Ransom as a bad boy. In fact, I think that would be the opposite, because he is very much kind of like I said, he wants to be like the swaggering Will Riker, but he's not. He's very by the books, and he's
He's like a Tom Paris season 1 of Voyager type of guy. Like he's kind of like a Starfleet grunt, even though Tom Paris was in prison, he still acts like a spoiled Starfleet grunt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah, no, I totally
he's
get
definitely
you.
no Will Riker. And the fact, it's very much a control issue for him at that point. I mean, like sending Billups and Rutherford down to the planet to go through their own episode of Justice.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, see, because he's a jerk, but there's a difference between being a jerk and being a bad boy.
Mhm.
And I think Ransom stands just right on that line.
He's a wannabe.
Yeah.
Most definitely, he's a wannabe bad boy in that. But like, just he doesn't have that streak in him that could make him a bad boy. I don't know.
Could we dive deep for a second, because we have a great
Sure.
comment from Kang, and I think I have an explanation. We're gonna go deep. Kang writes,
Absolutely.
I want to know what Ransom was doing during the Dominion War. That would reveal a lot about his character. I agree, and I'm gonna tell
Yes.
you one thing right now that I think Ransom was doing during the Dominion War, and that was grieving. Mike McMahon is not a dumb man. He's a very, 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 very smart man, and he's a great fucking writer, and he's a genius, and I love him. His name's not Ransom for no reason. Very much convinced that this dude is the father of Captain Ransom of the Equinox, which got lost.
The Equinox,
which got lost in the Delta Quadrant, and Janeway found him and had to kill him. Spoilers for Voyager, because he was when he did what Janeway could have done in the Delta Quadrant and just use every possible resource to try and get home. If you've never seen Equinox parts 1 and 2.
I love that, because I really love Equinox. I think it's a very dark two-parter.
So
So
you have around that time, Voyager leaves right during the Dominion, like the Dominion War is still going on, they miss the Dominion War, but like there's issues already because they're dealing with the Maquis, right? So
the Maquis had started up, and I think they had like the Dominion. There was rumblings of it, like they hadn't gone to full out war, but it wasn't peaceful.
Yeah, I think that Ransom during this time period found out that the Equinox went missing, just the same way Voyager. I think that really affected him. I think that even though he's an adult, like, losing your father sucks.
It's never
good. And you're going through that. You're a young officer who is probably, like we've talked about a lot, being fast tracked through Starfleet.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of strain then, because they do share a last name. I'm making up a whole backstory right now.
It's good. Keep going, please.
And
this is what I do all the time. So,
and so all of a sudden you're the son, of who at the time before he left was a well-respected Starfleet captain. So not only dealing with grief, but also probably dealing with a little bit of celebrity and people asking, a lot of like, sorry about your dad, asking a lot about your dad. I mean, like he would lose him twice. Yeah.
Because first he would disappear. And then I guess probably around Voyager, season 6, season 7.
Oh, that's right.
They
get the news. Yeah. So,
And not only is it he's dead, it's he was disgraced. He was doing horrific things.
Yeah. I think, the one thing that Ransom can, maybe feel good about is that his dad did kind of make the ultimate sacrifice at the end. It was too little too late, but that's what I think was happening to him during the Dominion War. I think that he was a very broken man, and that's why he's now this kind of, macho dude.
Yeah.
Starfleet
and I mean,
and their children.
As for like what he was doing, like on a professional level, I think that he was probably on the ground. Like, this is somebody who, like, was at places like at, what is it, AR 558?
Yeah, something like
I
that.
mean, not at that one in particular, but like places like that. And I mean, yeah, maybe not like on a ship, but because I mean, like so many officers were not, assigned to ships, but they were going out to fight the
There
Dominion,
was a
like
whole
actually
ground
on planets.
campaign, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I could see Ransom doing that, especially given the physicality of him. So, he's always doing reps because he had to like break the necks of Jem'Hadar soldiers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe he maybe even distinguished himself in battle on that, which is why he's given a commander's position.
That's a great theory too, Hawk.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like, he's a commander, but I mean, I don't want to say he's not respected, but they're definitely they're comfortable with him where he is, because when Carol is going to be given another ship, he immediately assumes he's going to become captain, and that's shut down right away.
Yeah.
They have no interest in him. Not only do they have no interest in him not being a captain, they don't have any interest in him not being a commander on a Cali class. They don't want him to move to one of the higher ships.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interesting, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do they really see him in that? Is there's like there's fear and then there's respect in the world of command, I guess. And it's like, is he feared enough, or is he respected enough, or is he kind of fall short in both those categories? Like Mariner doesn't fear him, obviously, no matter what he does.
Well, I think if we go with this war hero narrative, that there's an idea of respect, but it is a different kind of respect than Starfleet likes, because all of the stuff the Dominion War, like, Starfleet's not proud of that. Like, Starfleet doesn't like that they went to war. They never like that.
I don't know if I
So-
agree with that statement, MC.
Oh,
I just don't know, man.
I mean, I can understand what you're saying, but I think, I mean, I can see how both work. I could see the brass being like, we will do what we have to in war, but when peacetime comes, we're not going to really acknowledge. We'll give the laurels to the the heroes, but also we're not going to do much to advance you.
I can see that. So, like, war and any sort of conflict always seems to bring out the worst aspects in Starfleet. Seen this a million times over from the Pegasus on. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I'm just making Ransom one of those guys who came back from Vietnam and didn't get a parade.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, this was a very interesting dive into.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I love this. This is like what I do. So I will always talk about what we think characters' backstories are. I don't care if it's gonna happen. Do you know how many episodes Strangely Pod did of fan fiction before I joined? And do you know how many we've done since I have?
A lot and a lot? Or none and none? We didn't do a lot of
I don't think
No.
think you did any before I joined, but we've done at least 3 since I have.
Yeah, true. It's all MC's fault.
That's cool. It's cool because that's a whole other vein of Star Trek, and that to get into is all the fanfic around it. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what is fanfic but headcanons expanded?
Exactly.
But to get back to season 3 of Mariner and Ransom, episode 5. Oh my God, I can't remember what episode this
That's
is,
okay,
and you
'cause-
have so little written
So
here.
I was gonna say, if you'd like me to fill in for this one real quick, this was Reflections, and there's also not a lot here, but this is when Mariner and Ransom go down to do the booth, and that's
Oh,
when
the
she
booth.
meets
Right.
Petra. So like, it's just at the beginning of this episode, Ransom is just like no prisoners with Mariner, just like
Mhm.
yelling super hard. Later, like at the very end, she's like, by the way, like really nice work down there. He's being super nice to her. You could talk about the contrast of that alone. But like to begin, like when they're getting on the shuttle, he's just like full hard ass, right? And then
Mhm.
when she did do a good job at the booth, there was a strange amount of praise, and I wonder if this is actually another strike against. Like it could be like I wrote in the note here, where like, was he just having a bad morning or a bad day when he yells at her there? I think it's more that if we're saying maybe there's just nothing sexual here and there's really no relationship, and we're going back to the big brother, little sister, or just like mentor-mentee relationship, like I think that he knows that he hasn't been getting the job done, maybe. And then that's why he yells at her. But then it's like this moment of relief where she actually did some good down on the planet. So it's like, oh, maybe I am doing my thing. I think this is maybe a strike against, but your guys' thoughts, obviously.
So it did seem intense, right? Because like he gets right up in her face and that, it's like you're doing this job and that if you screw this up and that, I swear to God, you're going to Starbase 80.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, dude,
Mhm.
don't joke. I think she's like, dude, don't joke around about that.
Don't that place is awful. And yeah, it really kind of throws hot water on the whole idea of like, any sort of a romantic tie to them, and that more to the angle of like, just like brother, sister, and that, like, elder sibling had all the responsibility push onto their shoulders and that, and the younger one just like runs wild. And he knew that, like, it's like this was enough, because even with him being like, hit her new mama and that, she was still getting away with murder up to that point,
Mhm.
and even the stuff that he didn't catch her doing. So yeah, I think this is just a really bad day, really frustrated by where he was at in that whole, being her supervisor. And yeah, just it came out very bad.
And now I will actually argue in favor of them wanting to fuck each other rather than being siblings, because I think Starfleet relationships are so fucked up
So
that
true.
all things can be true. The mentor, mentee, the sibling, the wanting to bang each other. I mean, I have gone on so many times about how I think Kirk and Spock are brothers. And even I can acknowledge that sometimes they want to fuck each other. And I think that's the same for most Starfleet relationships. It's incestuous. That's the only word that you can use, because they are like family, but also so many of them are attracted to each other. I mean, you have in Deep Space Nine, Miles and Kira, who are like brother and sister, but then there's that one episode where there was that romantic tension between them.
Yep.
So yeah, this comes up with a lot of different people. I think Harry is the only one that is immune to this happening with people on the crew. Nobody develops feelings for Harry.
Also
He
immune
develops
from
some
emotions.
No. What's her name? Who died and then came back as the alien?
Oh,
and
Ballard.
Ballard.
Yeah,
I think
Lindsay Ballard.
I think that they
Yeah.
were maybe having a thing, if I
And,
remember
yeah, and
correctly.
also they were like sibling-like, but also kind of
tension. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So see, like
Damn it,
I
MC, you're right. You cracked the
code. So yeah, and I think at this point, I think the romantic tension isn't quite as prevalent because it ebbs and flows, I think. And they have been working together as mentor and mentee, assigned, that I think the romantic tension is pulled back because they've been doing it long enough. And by doing it, I mean doing the mentor mentee thing long enough that the tension's not as all the time, because, being with somebody all the time, you either become massively attracted to them or it fades. Like, what's it? Familiarity breeds contempt,
Yes.
I think is the phrase. So, and I mean, I think, yeah, he might have been having a bad day. who wants to run the booth on, Starfleet
Yeah.
Career Day?
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
this episode's so brilliant, because really it's Boimler who ends up screwing up the worst at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we end out season 3 with the stars at night, and Mariner is sorry, I'm just trying to read this. I'm not sure I remember this happening in the episode. Isn't episode or am I thinking of the wrong episode?
No, this is
Isn't
what
episode 10 the
This
finale?
is 310. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's when she comes back from being with Petra.
Okay.
And
Sorry, I didn't get to watch this one today.
yeah, so in this one at the very end, right, she's come back from being with Petra and she's like talking to her mom, and she says to Carol, she's like, and you know what, Mom, like I think Ransom like really is gonna be like the one to help me get back on track. And then like he like brings him in, she brings him in for a big hug. It's like, yeah, like you're gonna be my child each, like yeah. So she chose, and it was very
It just came screaming back.
yeah. She did. Yeah.
But yeah, no, she does make the choice, because she comes back, and I mean, after everything Ransom has done up to this point, she says, yeah. And in some way it does come off like she's trying to give Ransom a hard time, where it's just like, I want to be under Ransom, and like the whole Chadish thing, calling back to episode 1, which is very much like Mariner torturing Boimler. So, but at the same time, this episode was the start of Mariner's turnaround. This turnaround that took so long in season 4 that I complained about so much over the season. But this was the start of it. And I've come to accept it now that I saw all of season 4. But yeah, she absolutely meant it. And I think that part of the reason for choosing Ransom is that they did have this contentious relationship beforehand. She wants to earn his respect.
Yeah, I can see that. But, they have a contentious relationship. But like, as you said, this was also her reaffirmation about her career, and that, it's like she knew she wanted to be in Starfleet and that. And it's like, if she was going to remain in Starfleet, that meant advancement in that. And it's like, if you're going to shadow somebody in that, as far as like advancement, Ransom is pretty much the guy you want to be like, shadowing.
Well, yeah, right? Because she's literally seen everybody else that she like basically was in the academy with, and then some, like, go up, including Jack. So yeah, I think it is like exactly what you said, MC. Like, this is like our season long, like, Mariner finally sheds the light about like what happened to her and is really wanting to turn it around. So yeah, I think it's hard, right? Because we could try and connect there maybe being like a sexual thing. Oop, as I whack my mic. Yeah, to there being like a sexual thing here, but like, I don't know. I think she's just like happy to be back and accepted on the ship, because I think Ransom is also one of the ones that shunned her off right after the news story. So it's like, to be back in his good graces and have him trust her, and everybody know that like it wasn't her that fucked up on the interview, it was literally everybody else. Like, I just think it's more like being back generally, and not so much, I mean, going back to Ransom too, because she does want to get the respect, but I don't think this is part of any prior history before.
I mean, of course, the one thing to keep in mind in all episodes of season 3, I mean, Mariner would absolutely be a poly queen, but we don't have actual evidence of that yet. And she was in a relationship with Jennifer.
Yeah, Dave just wrote,
and
and add Jennifer to the mix and you get a giggity time.
Ransom could not.
No,
he
I don't think
couldn't
he could.
deal.
No, he would not be able to handle.
No.
In more ways than one.
Oh man. So episode moving on to season 4, and one of our favorite episodes, I Have No Bones and I Must Scream.
Moopsie.
There's Moopsie over there.
Mine's over there eating something.
Yeah. We all have moopsies. Uh, but this episode, obviously, there's almost like a trilogy of episodes in the of Ransom and Mariner working together and having, beef with one another in how they're working. And this is the third part of that. And I think it will be the last part because we've obviously
Yeah.
seen at the end of the season how Mariner will turn around. And this episode, she does kind of have the turnaround with Ransom because while, and again, I did express my frustration at her continually having to learn the same lesson over and over again. At the very least, she did not seem to need to learn the same lesson over and over again with the same people. This is when it happens with Ransom, and then Hearth the Ferengi's Heart. She learns it with her friend.
I forget the
Ferengi
Frankie's name. People in our chat, I feel like know though. So,
and this happened throughout the season, where kind of every time it came up, it was with another character. So in this one, they go to the menagearium, I believe it's what it's called.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and she is trying to sabotage herself. She, he loves it when you call him Jack. Really like that ensign who I can't remember his name, so I'm just gonna call him Ricky. Ensign Ricky. Ensign Ricky asks, "Are you two dating, or are you two breaking up?"
Yeah,
it's something like that.
Yep.
So I mean, it's canon that people notice that there is tension between them.
Yeah.
Even as late as season 4. But Mariner is entirely trying to get Ransom to demote her by just disrespecting the fuck out of him. But by the end of it, throughout this whole Moopsie ordeal, it turns out that no, she actually does want to, she wants to disappoint him on her own terms.
Yeah.
Which I get.
Disappointing someone on your own terms. That's quite an interesting turn. Yeah, the Moopsie episode. This is what prompted me to ask about, Ransom's kind of, sexual motivations and that, because the whole thing with like knocking every single tooth out of his head, and that he was the one who suggested it and went way through with it, and that all his teeth, and apparently they only even needed 10.
Oh God, I just remembered his creepy smile at the end of the episode.
Big veneers. Oh God.
It's oh man, like the way that they talk to each other in this episode is the first time when they're having that conversation, after the whole like, are you two dating or breaking up? And she goes, "Oh, why do I do that?" I feel like it's so well acted in the sense that it's not Mariner and Ransom talking, it's Jack and Beckett talking, right? Like they're having a kind of intimate conversation about Mariner's shortcomings, right? And even though he is her mentor, like the way it's acted, and I don't think that it was written to be that way, or maybe again, like Mike McMahon is a genius. Then the writing rooms are all, they're all geniuses. So maybe maybe you're meant to think that, but at that time, it's just like they have some kind of history, because even though Jack is her mentor, she's still like, I don't know, like she still just really goes personal, like with the conversation. And I think that there's something to that. Like she wouldn't just have that conversation with anyone, even Jack. So I think like the fact that she did means that there's something there, whether it is a brother-sister thing or, a past fling / romance, or
all of the above.
Literally all of the above. Yeah.
You see, it's weird because like Beckett, Mariner will end up opening up to people in the most of unlikely
True.
situations. I mean, like
Mhm.
her big reveal, was to a Klingon. She was kind of like, taking cover with from a glass storm.
She does love Klingons, though.
Yeah,
She
true.
does, yeah.
But it's more about circumstance, I think, and than anything that kind of gets her to open up, right? Possibly like even just
Yeah.
like, just the fear of danger and death and that. And it's like,
Having your bones sucked out. Yeah.
yes, having your
Mhm.
bones sucked out, being impaled by a shard of glass from the sky. Possibly it's the fact that, she gets a little contemplative in that when she believes death is around the corner.
Yeah.
So talking about Mariner's fondness for Klingons and the fact that we've been talking a lot about Mariner's romantic feelings, do we think that Mariner has dated a Klingon or two in the past?
Yes, absolutely.
Not
She's
even
way
a question.
No.
She's way too good with a batleth.
She knows
I mean, that is true.
a lot
Except
about
when she's
drinking with them.
Yeah.
She's looking for Parmok in all the wrong places.
Yeah. David just said it. Just give Mariner a wide berth when she slings a batleth. Only when she's drunk. She's actually good with the one when she's sober.
Yeah. And she gets one from Shax, actually.
Yeah.
I've noticed that. And,
Yeah.
when I was rewatching things, because
Hey.
I watched half the episodes today.
Nice.
I actually
and
didn't even get a chance to watch some of that, so I went on YouTube, and there are a couple of videos where it's like every single scene of Ransom.
People are so good at that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, they really are. Freaking love that. YouTube's amazing.
It's an amazing.
That's why
place.
we're here.
Yes.
And you can find us on YouTube almost every Thursday at 9:30 Eastern.
It gets a little spotty when we don't have actual new episodes to review, but yeah.
Or when our equipment's not working. But so we're going to close out tonight with not from Lower Decks, but from Strange New Worlds, those
Hey.
old scientists. It's obviously not a huge moment because Ransom's only in there for about 30 seconds. And I don't even think this happens when he's on the scene. It's Ransom mentions that Mariner begged for the assignment, and then he leaves, and Mariner says that Ransom sleeps on his face like a baby.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's really two ways to look at this. This could be Mariner just saying things because this is obvious. This is something that she could just say to just try to deflect from the fact that she was trying to do a nice thing for Boimler and her friends. Or it could be that she knows how Ransom sleeps.
Third possibility. With all the stuff that she tries to get away with and that, would you really put it past Mariner and that to put some sort of a spy cam in his room and that to monitor his whereabouts?
I would. That's some kind of invasion of privacy. Come on. Imagine if Starfleet found out about that. She'd be God. Though Starfleet does not have HR, so maybe not. I don't fucking know.
I'm sorry. There was an episode of Deep Space Nine where Ezri Dax was spying on people through a fucking sniper gun.
Good episode.
So, I mean, all bets are off.
Okay, fair.
Man, I've gotten to bring up some really random episodes today.
Yeah, that's been fun. I like
that. But I mean, they fourth possibility, they've obviously been going on missions together. They could have gone on a mission that they had to stay overnight. And, Ransom sleeps face down in his sleeping bag.
Yeah. I mean, it could be literally all of those things. Like,
it could be.
Yeah. Or,
and I
go ahead.
Or they're sleeping together.
Yeah. Or she's like done the walk of shame a couple of times and seen her like sleeping, like, yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think this, it's like the little, again, like so much comes down to like animation and the eyes, right? Like the way she says it, the way she looks at him, it's like this, like, like yes. The answer is yes.
This whole episode has been so interesting because we don't really do a lot of episodes or any episodes about particular relationships, not even talking about romantic ones. Like, we don't do character dynamic episodes, which I don't know if people like this one. Maybe we do more in the future.
I would love to.
Though, I mean, Ransom and Mariner is obviously quite an easy one to start off with because there's not a lot of episodes. But if people were to suggest some other couples, there might be a lot of stuff that has to be gone through. But I think the thing is, and I say this as somebody who has been in fandom for 25 years now, and has been shipping that entire time. It's so subjective. All of this stuff is true and none of it is true.
Yeah. Some people, like, I'll say it now, like on Twitter, advertising this episode at the beginning of the week and a few social platforms, people have been like, what are you guys seeing? Like, what's there? And like, so it's like, you know, some people just don't see it at all and don't even think about it. So I find that interesting as well.
Yeah, but there is definitely enough there to warrant an actual discussion about it, and not even just a cursory, look back and that. And it's like it makes you think, well, maybe.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons why I suggested this episode, other than the fact that it was supposed to fall between Jerry and Tawny's birthdays, was that out of the cast of Lower Decks, when you take out the main characters and Carol, Mariner's closest relationship is with Ransom. And so I think you can learn a lot about Mariner's character that way, because obviously with the main characters, like, that's kind of our baseline. And I love Mariner and Carol's relationship, but it is very much a, contentious parental relationship. One, we have seen contentious parental relationships since the dawn of television, since the dawn of fiction stories.
Yeah.
Some of us have lived contentious parental relationships. But what happens with Ransom, as we've demonstrated with talking about all of these different potential levels of their relationship, all of it reveals different potential areas for both Mariner and Ransom.
Yeah. No, it does. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, because you just said that perfectly. I don't know if I really want to add anything on top of that, because you kind of nailed on the head. Like, it could still go all those ways, or it could go none of those ways, and the relationship can completely change next season. We just don't know. I think it's a great way to put it.
But at the very least, there is a certain connection there between the two of them. And that.
Oh, absolutely. There is. They are important to one another, even if they would never admit it.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, I think that wraps it up for this episode, unless anybody else has anything enlightening to say in the last couple of minutes. But I think we've definitely covered everything about this pair. And like we've said, I look forward to potentially in the future doing other character dynamic episodes. And maybe if our fans want to suggest some pairings, be kind to us and not suggest ones that have 50 years of backstory there, because that would take a lot to get through.
Let's do Worf and Alexander.
That'll be a 5-minute long episode.
Worf was a shitty father. See you next week.
He should have had both his little things tied, because they have 2, right?
Yep. So that would be 4.
But thank you for staying with us throughout this episode and all of our technical difficulties, my technical difficulties. And we will see you next week. Live long and prosper. And of course, the sarcastic Vulcan salute. We all look cool doing this.
Yeah.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.